Hello, I'm Phil Mullen, energy psychotherapist, and this little talk is about the quantum level of mind. Now, the term quantum gets used in all kinds of ways these days: quantum this, quantum that. Often it's used just to make something sound a bit exotic or mysterious. But strictly speaking, the term quantum really refers to the subatomic level. It does get used in other ways that are quite reasonable, but uh, it's often used to mean that phenomena operate as a whole, holistically, or as a kind of connected field. But really, when we're referring to that kind of thing, we should use the term quantum-like. So I'll try to keep that distinction. So what does quantum mean at the subatomic level? So all the seemingly strange characteristics of the quantum level of reality follow from the discovery that subatomic events are both particles and waves. But according to the dominant so-called Copenhagen interpretation of quantum phenomena, there's nothing actually waving. The quantum wave, the wave function, is instead a mathematical field of influence and probability. So it's a kind of mathematical wave. If we can't observe the wave, it's not like the waves of the ocean. Why do we think of it as a wave? It's because under certain conditions, beams of subatomic particles will form an interference pattern like that is formed by observable waves. But we also know that light, which forms waves, light consists of waves. We also know that light has particle properties. It's both a wave and a particle. And its particle qualities were what Einstein discovered when he found the basis of the photoelectric effect. Particles of light, photons of light, can create an electrical current bouncing. The energy of photons will, on certain materials, generate an electrical effect. I'll come back to the wave issue. But one of the really intriguing features of the quantum level is called quantum entanglement. And this came out of, this prediction came out of something called Bell's theorem. But it was confirmed eventually by experimental observation that if two particles, such as two electrons or photons, are created simultaneously, or if they interact with each other, they will retain a connection in terms of instant opposite but complementary behavior, no matter how far apart they travel. Einstein didn't like this idea. He thought it was absurd. He called it spooky action at a distance. He didn't believe that this could be the case, and yet decades of experiments have confirmed that quantum systems behave as a unified whole, not as separate, isolated parts. So in the framework that I talk about, this, what we call non-locality, reflects a deeper coherence of the informational field that underlies both mind and matter. So at the subatomic level, it is genuine, it is literally quantum. phenomena, but you get the same sort of quantum-like patterning at higher levels, and the mind as a whole certainly operates in a quantum-like manner. So let's just look a little more at these double slit experiments. So when waves such as water or light pass through two slits, they form an interference pattern with peaks and troughs amplifying or cancelling each other. And this is entirely ordinary wave behavior. But the surprising thing is that electrons, that is particles of matter, produce the same interference pattern when both slits are open. So beams of particles are directed through towards two narrow slits close together. On the registration material that shows where the particles land, the other side of the splits, you'll get this interference pattern emerging over time, as though somehow the particles know which slit to go through in order to create this interference pattern, as if they were waves, but they're particles. And this occurs even when one electron is fired at a time. Cumulatively, they create an interference pattern. Weird. How do they know that they need to form this wave-like pattern? I should say, though, that in the what's called the pilot wave interpretation, particularly associated with the physicist David Bohm and his implicate order, the underlying wave is not just a mathematical probability wave, it is real. So in Bohmian mechanics perspectives, there is this non-local informational field that is guiding the particles so that they know where to land in order to operate as if they were a wave. Now, this interference pattern only appears when both slits are open. If one slit is closed, the interference pattern disappears. So it is a very strange, intriguing phenomena. How do these individual particles know how to land in a way that presents itself as a wave-like interference pattern? Now, it becomes even stranger. It becomes really strange when we try to measure which slit they go through. Because as soon as we try to detect which slit the electron has gone through, the interference pattern disappears, as though our human measurement is somehow collapsing, blocking, preventing the wave pattern. It's causing the waves to collapse into something more definite, a precise position that is not wave-like. Now, if that seems strange, here's where it gets really, really strange. Because if a measurement is made at the slits, detecting which slit the electron has gone through, but then that information in the system is erased. So the measurement has been made, but it's then erased so that no human consciousness can know which slit the particle has gone through. The wave pattern comes back. So in some astonishing way, human consciousness, whether human consciousness knows or potentially knows which slit the particle has gone through, determines whether what shows up is a wave interference pattern or not. Another strange, intriguing phenomenon is that another way that human consciousness can collapse the wave function is that Dean Radin's experiments with meditators found that meditators concentrating on the slit experiment can have an effect similar to that of detecting which slit. Just by meditating and focusing on the slits, they can cause a similar effect, determining whether a wave interference pattern appears or not. So what are we to make of this? If we're not observing or measuring the electron or whatever the subatomic particle is, if we do not know what it is doing, if we're not observing it, we don't know what it's doing. It's following some unknown path in a realm that is inherently opaque to us. As soon as we seek to observe the path, we're forcing it into our realm, where a particle can only be in one position and follow one path. We're forcing it into something definite. It's as if from a statistical wave function of possibilities and probabilities, we have selected one reality. So this is called the collapse of the wave function. So our human choice to measure and our selection of measuring equipment has fundamentally altered the reality we observe. And this is the mystery and the paradox at the heart of the quantum realm. And so one of the fathers of quantum theories, John Wheeler, in a 2006 podcast, said this: modern quantum theory, the overarching principles of 20th century physics, leads to quite a different view of reality, a view that man or intelligent life or communicating observer participators are the whole means by which the very universe is created. Without them, nothing. We are participators in bringing into being not only the near and here, but the far away and long ago. What an extraordinary statement by John Wheeler, one of the most eminent of the quantum physicists. And if we think about the mind in the same way, the unconscious mind is in some ways inherently invisible. We can only observe its products, and so the quantum realm is similar to the unconscious mind, or the unconscious mind is similar to the quantum realm. And just as different psychoanalysts will have different observations of their patient's unconscious according to their theoretical lens, in a similar way, the quantum realm presents itself differently according to our observational equipment. So in both cases, what we aspire to know will affect what we observe. Now, Henry Stapp is a key contributor to the development of quantum theory and its implications. And he sees the revelations of the quantum realm as uniting the fields of matter, brain, and mind. And he made the point that at the very same time that physicists were incorporating mind into their observations of the quantum realm, the influential radical behaviorists in the earlier part of the 20th century sought to remove mind even from psychology. And something of that stance still persists to varying extents. So Henry Stapp argues that it is conscious intention, attention, and choice that in many ways determines brain states, that consciousness determines the brain state. And here's his crucial and rather subtle point, that this consciousness, this conscious intention and attention and choice is not determined by any known laws of physics. That's an intriguing idea to ponder. Now, I mentioned that the standard Copenhagen interpretation, as it's called, refers to the quantum wave as a mathematical probabilistic formula relating to what we observe when we attempt to measure. But the pilot wave idea associated with David Bohm and others refers to a real informational substrate that is somehow guiding the particle. It is guided and it is coherent. So it's a fundamental level of information, non-local information, guiding everything. And in a certain way, it seems the quantum field can be both random and guided. And consciousness may function as the coupling mode that translates the deeper level of coherence from the implicate order, David Bohm's implicate order, into our realm of experience. Consciousness connects our brains and our matter realm to the quantum level. Consciousness is the coupling medium. Now, a theoretical physics framework that I favour is Richard Amoroso and Elizabeth Rorschach's 12-dimensional human anthropic, sorry, not human, holographic anthropic multiverse, the Ham theory, holographic anthropic multiverse, 12 dimensions, a unified field beyond space and time that subtends our universe and perhaps many universes. But we are nested, multiple dimensions, nested within multiple dimensions. What we are aware of through our senses is 3 dimensions, space, and the 4th dimension of time. But many other dimensions beyond that we are not able to access through our senses. The unified field, which we might think of as the pilot field of fields, the ultimate pilot field, where the ultimate order, the ultimate connectedness of everything. That's where it comes from. Now, normally, a pilot wave would be in contact with all other pilot waves. Everywhere being connected in a non-local way. A non-local guiding field. But states of trauma affecting the mind and other aspects of the human being multidimensional system, extensive trauma seems to create a sort of geometric curvature of our being, creating an attractor well, a curvature well in our mind space that our consciousness gets trapped in. And so it's like the pilot wave gets trapped in this curvature well of trauma. And so then it's like a goldfish trapped in a bowl. It's just going round and round. And that's what the traumatized state is like. The person's mind is just circling round and round the same anxious thoughts and memories, and everything becomes narrowed, restricted, and cut off from the wider informational field. And part of what needs to be done for the state of trauma is to open it up so that the wider field of information can enter and the experience can be processed, and it is no longer such a powerful well in mind space. It's no longer such a strong attractive field. It's no longer like a black hole in the mind that's dragging everything into it. Now, I mentioned the unconscious mind as being analogous to the quantum realm, because we can't observe it directly. We can only observe its products, what comes out of it. Dreams. Now, people speak of remembering their dreams or describing their dreams. I don't think we can ever, I don't think we ever truly remember our dreams. We remember fragments, bits and pieces that our conscious mind then reconstructs. I don't think we can really remember our dreams because I think they are operating at a deeper dimensional level that we simply cannot grasp in our conscious waking state. As soon as we wake up, we are no longer in that realm. Because the quantum realm is kind of outside space and time. Space and time do not exist in the way that we experience them in our ordinary reality. At the quantum level, there is no space and time in the same way, and particles are not in any specific place until we attempt to observe them. And similarly, dreams capture many meanings all at once, and many things are going on at the same time in a dream. Dreams do not respect our ordinary sense of space and time. And as we're waking up, we are coming into space and time. And so we only are left with fragments, bits and pieces of the dream that we, in a kind of retrospective way, may construct into a coherent narrative that may not have been actually there in the dream proper. But the strange thing about dreams, the extraordinary thing, for any psychotherapist who works with dreams, is the extraordinary ingenuity and creativity of the narrative and the imagery that's experienced. The content is not random, although superficially it might appear to be. Each detail in a dream seems to have relevance. It's like there's an overall gestalt, an overall a wholeness, a sleep time presentation of what is on the brain's mind. So it raises the intriguing question, who is the author of these amazing productions? Some kind of deep global organising principle seems to be at work. So as I've just tried to explain, we can't fully access dreams in our waking consciousness because dreams are in a state of quantum superposition with many meanings in place, inherent, all at once, and contradictory meanings may coexist. So the unconscious mind has these quantum qualities in which space and time do not exist as we normally perceive them. It also seems very clear, really, that the unconscious mind extends non-locally. It picks up information from non-sensory sources from other minds telepathically or precognitively, or it registers things going on in the wider field, the wider world, the wider collective consciousness of humankind. And dreams seem to emerge ready formed, another extraordinary feature. Now, some dreams are like a bit like something produced by a struggling composer, whilst other dreams are just brilliant. They emerge ready formed. They may be very, very simple, but brilliant, ingenious in what they capture succinctly. So, who or what is doing the composing? So, it does seem that some deep creative and organizing principle is at work. And that this deep organizing principle is at work in reality more generally, certainly in forms of life. If you think about the amazing process of a caterpillar becomes a chrysalis, becomes a butterfly, how on earth would that have arisen randomly by chance? There's surely some deep ordering function, organizing principles, some kind of deep intelligence inherent in reality. There's more of this kind of thinking in my book that came out last year, 2025, The Physics of the Mind, New Perspectives for Psychotherapists, Healers and Seekers, published by Karnak Books in London. Thanks for listening.